World, we live in a subjective reality. But before, let's say, quantum physics and everything, we had the thinking, we had the thought that it was an objective reality where things were fixed. But because of that, the question is, do are we creating by default or design? Now, when we are creating by default, it's usually because we are responding to what we think is a fixed reality. We are responding from the past, from yesterday's feelings and emotions when we get up. We are responding to life situations on the outside of us. And as we know so far, that there's nothing on the outside that determines your perception and how you feel on the inside. So, do we create, or are we creating by default or by design? Let's even go deeper with it. Your imagination is constantly working. We are constantly manifesting. That is fact. Our thoughts and feelings and emotions keep us in this constant manifesting wheel, or constant manifesting spiral. We just constantly manifesting our reality all the time based on our feelings and emotions. So if we are doing that constantly, are you creating by default or by design? Are you creating the reality that you want, or are you creating a reality that you don't want based off of your unconscious awareness that your feelings are creating your reality? And if you are creating by default, that might be the problem. If you are a conscious creator creating by design, then you are a little bit more in control of your experience, of what happens, or and how you respond and react to these situations on the outside of you. When you're creating by default, you are in a constant responsive energy towards everything and every situation. And if you are constantly responding and reacting to all these situations that the world is throwing at you, thoughts of yesterday, you are not in creation. You are not creating the reality you want. You're looping the reality you've always had. You're in a reality loop because you are creating by default, as opposed to creating by your conscious awareness. Like you knowing that what is happening on the inside is determining my outside experience. The way I feel on the inside determines my outside experience. So when you're creating by design, you are conscious and aware that what's going on in the inside is going to create this outside experience. And when it comes to, we're always creating and we're always imagining, the half the time we use imagination against ourselves. Let me go into it right quick. Let's say you get up and drive to work. You start imagining what your day is going to be like. Oh, Susan, she's going to be over there tripping. She always tripping. And you start creating these, what's the word I'm going to use? You start creating this reality. You start creating this, your own matrix of what could happen. So you're using your imagination to create all the time. And then you might get off of work and you might say, man, my husband or my wife is tripping. And you start creating again. You're creating this simulation, this experience of what could happen. Now, imagine this. You do this over and over and over again. Now things are starting to catch up, and it's a rotation of these feelings and emotions are coming in by default. It's not what you want, is what I'm saying. You're creating on a default setting of a lot of times not what we want. We're always in this loop of not being aware and creating a life that we don't want. Not consciously aware that we need to be creating the life we do want, but you need to be conscious and aware that what's happening on the inside determines and reflects what's happening on the outside. And if you see what's happening on the outside, you also know that it is a reflection of the inside. So, yeah, we're using our imagination against us. We're imagining worst case scenarios all the time. Now, that is not by it is not you purposely doing that. It is also a product of the mind that's trying to keep you safe. So your mind don't really want you to do too much because it needs to keep you safe. So it constantly bombards you with critical thinking, analytical, always breaking down something, always trying to figure out, trying to keep you safe, trying to say, no, you don't need to do that, do this. But that causes a lot of creation by default because you're steady responding instead of creating, you know? If you're constantly responding to everything and letting everything affect you, you have got out your God space. You are in fight or flight instead of creating for tomorrow or for next week. You're not thinking of the ramifications and the magnitude of your thoughts and feelings that are constantly creating a life you don't want. You're either creating a life you do want or creating a life you don't want. Or you're either working on either one of them, you know? Some people keep working on creating a life they don't want every day. They keep creating a life they don't want because they can't stop the patterns. They can't stop waking up and being and letting their mind start thinking about the past or the future or what's going to happen, and creating this simulation of a life that haven't happened yet. But with that creation, it makes it reveal itself in this 3D world. It's like going like if you have kids or something and you go home and say, man, my kids, I know the house is gonna be messy, and you get home and the house is messy and everything is exactly what you planned it to be. Now imagine doing that every day. You can't expect nothing no more than what you used your imagination to create. Default. We need to create by design. We need to be in control of thoughts and feelings and emotions that causes us to experience a life that we do want. Not creating, feeling, and making a life that we don't want. It's like we make our own bed that we don't want to lay in. We constantly thinking of bad things, bad thoughts, are entertained with fear-based material, and we creating a bed that we can't even lay in almost. Like, we don't want that. We don't want this type of stuff that we keep doing and thinking, but sometimes we don't even know that these little subtle things keep us in a loop of experiencing a reality that we don't want. It's really simple in a way, but it does take creative authority. You have to be the one in charge. You have to be the operant power. I've said before, everything that you do on this journey will be deliberate. It is not you going on this journey and things are just going to happen, or things are just going to happen for you. Now, it will get to that point to where things will show up, experiences will show up, but at first, you have to be in control of what's causing this outside experience. And once you start knowing this, that what's happening on the inside of me is really determining what's happening on the outside. Once you know that, no, forget that. Once you believe that, because you know it already, there's enough information out here in this world to know that your internal state of being causes your external reality. We already know that. We got that. So, once you believe this, it's going to hit different. You can know something all day. People know a lot of stuff, never use nothing. You know, people know this and don't exercise it. People know about that, but don't want to implement it to become better at it or make things become normal in their life with this. So you can know something, but once you truly believe that, the way me being the operator and me operating internally is going to have a result in my external experience. I mean, damn, if a person is aggravated, mad every day, wake up, what do you think his experience is going to be? But it's his internal state that's attracting all this in his life. And he keeps perpetuating that, knowing that's not what he wants, but he's on default mode. He can't stop it. Don't know how to stop it. Get up in the morning, boom, bam, 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 thoughts. Now that is like a domino effect. You know, them dominoes, and it loops in. Then he could get frustrated with these thoughts and mad. Then with that energy, he starts losing stuff. I can't find my keys. With this energy, with this energy, he starts attracting circumstances all the way throughout his day, because his energy, his thermostat is set to experience this every day almost. It might be a glimpse of hope here and there, or good times, but his default, his thermostat setting is that of misery, discomfort, aggravation, nothing ever going right. So he's a constant default creating. He just don't even know why these things are coming in his life all the time. But until he believes and knows that his external state of being is definitely a reflection of his outside, his external situation, you know? So don't use your imagination. The whole thing about this talk right here is, don't let your imagination create your life by default. Don't think of worst case scenarios all the time. It is challenging at first not to do this, but see if you can kind of control the thoughts that create. Now, when it comes to the creating, a simple thought doesn't create. You can have these thoughts all day, but when you're in a default setting, you do it so much that there's feelings that are associated with these thoughts. And that's where the manifesting by default comes into play. You can think, oh man, you can think a lot of thoughts, but until when these thoughts have feelings and emotions behind it, that's where the signal is the strongest. You know, your brain produces electromagnetic field. Your heart produces the strongest electromagnetic field. It produces the aura around you. And so, in simplest terms, the feeling is the strongest signal, not the thought. So your electrical heart magnetic field is pushed out 6 to 9 feet around you. And that is a strong magnetic force, you know? So, yes, don't create by default. Create by design. Be in control of what is going to happen in your external reality by being aware of what's happening internally. Hello, world.